Hey Michigan State fans, it's Jacob Katsunika here, back for another edition of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. Again, coming off a couple of days ago, 42-40 win over Boston College in double overtime. That game's all done with. We are on now to week 3 of the season. Youngstown State coming into town now for East Lansing FCS team. We'll dive into the details a little bit on them in a little bit. But for today, I think what we really need to focus on are the things that Michigan State needs to do better going on forward from that game in Boston College again. Talked about before, if you flip a couple of plays, maybe even one play, Boston College could have easily walked out of East Lansing with another win over the Spartans, and the mood with the fan base would have been a lot different. We'd be talking about Jonathan Smith a lot differently than we are right now. We'd be talking about Aiden Childs. Well, Childs played great either way, but we'd be talking about a lot of different things differently if we flip those 2-point plays, in that double overtime. But that's not what happened. Michigan State still won the game. They're 2-0. They need 4 more wins to reach bowl eligibility, and they have a very FCS team coming into town, very winnable game. But I think before we go into what they need to do better, I think we need to give some respect to Youngstown State. This is a good FCS team that's about to come into town. Michigan State played Prairie View A&M last year, and with respect to them, they were not a good FCS team. Record was not there. The metrics didn't really like them that much, even for FCS standards. Youngstown State, that's a lot different. Youngstown State's 2-0 again. FCS competition, it's not Power 4. I'm not going to sit here and say they'd go out and win a couple of Big Ten games. They probably wouldn't. But it's not a team you're just going to walk, that you should expect Michigan State to just beat by 70. They have some dudes, and really the biggest guy for them is their quarterback. That guy being Bo Brungard. He's a homegrown talent from there. He's not some FBS reject that went on down to Youngstown State just so he could go get playing time. No, he started there. He developed there over the last couple of years. He's the starter there again for a second straight year. And so far, he's lights out. And not really in the way you'd expect for a quarterback. This dude runs the football. And he runs it some more, and then he runs it some more. 2 games into his season, he has more rushing yards by a lot than passing yards. 236 passing yards for Brungard so far this year through 2 games. Not great, but he doesn't throw the ball that much. He only has about 35 attempts or so. Hasn't put the ball in any danger, no picks, only 1 touchdown pass. But the rushing stats, if it was a running back at the FBS level, this guy would get Heisman consideration. Last game for him, 10 carries, 264 yards, 4 touchdowns. 1 goes as long as 78 yards. I mean, I don't care who you're playing against. If you're able, he was playing Robert Morris, to be exact. I don't care who you're playing against. If you put up those kinds of numbers, you might want to pay attention a little bit when you're playing them the next week. Your week before that, a lot more carries, not as many yards, but we're talking about only here, quote, unquote, 28 carries, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, if Mekhi Frazier goes out, Brandon Tolles goes out and puts up that stat line, he's going to get some praise. And this is a quarterback doing it. He's taking it out of shotgun and then just running it, So, again, he's the main guy that Michigan State's really going to need to pay attention to here in this one. But I think in some level, it plays into Michigan State's strengths. So far, we've seen really good run defense from the Spartans through 2 games. They stuffed a pretty good running back in Jalen Buckley for Western Michigan in week 1, and we really didn't even see Boston College try to run the ball a whole lot in that second half and beyond in week 2. So obviously that means Boston College was doing something very well to stay in that game, and that was pass the ball. Dylan Lonergan kind of tore the defense to shreds. Just gaudy stat line, nearly 400 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, he's a really good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but he was inexperienced. There was probably, if MSU's pass rush was able to get to the quarterback, they probably could have caused some problems. But we saw Lonergan kind of just take the snap, step back, and he kind of had time almost every single time. You didn't see a whole lot of pressures from the Michigan State defense. Smith kind of talked about it in his Monday press conference, but he was getting the ball out quick as well. He was taking his drop back, looking, his first read was there. He didn't hesitate. He fired the ball. But still, there was plenty of time for him to go do whatever he wanted. Sometimes he sat back there for a good couple of seconds and then found a guy deep, It was kind of frustrating, probably for the Michigan State defense. I mean, you allow 27 points in regulation. Yeah, that's right. It's not terrible. It's not great, though. You can certainly do better if you're Joe Rossi. I mean, you want to keep them 20 or below. That's probably a solid day at the office as far as the defense is concerned. It was that particular 4-drive stretch where they allowed Boston College to go touchdown, 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 field goal, where things kind of got really concerning. Well, I mean, you never want to allow points on 4 straight drives. But you're really going to want to see some better pass rushing from the Michigan State defense, and you also probably want to see a better job from the secondary. I think of that group, Malcolm Bell he's kind of emerged as the team's top cornerback. If you haven't noticed Malcolm Bell out there a whole lot, that's a good thing. He's not being targeted a whole lot. Only got targeted, according to Pro Football Focus, 3 times in 50 coverage snaps. Only allowed 2 catches. Pretty good. Josh Eaton, I mean, he was kind of brought in to be the team's top quarterback. He's been fine. Stats haven't really been amazing, but he's been serviceable. You haven't seen him really beyond, I think, the very first play of the season where he allowed that 35-yard catch. He's been fine. You haven't really seen him get gashed a whole lot. Some of it is also maybe the fact that Michigan State's missing Nakai Martinez. It's tough to be missing your starting free safety. Malik Spencer, he got banged up a little bit in that game against Boston College, missed a couple of drives, but Smith said he was able to grit it out, doesn't seem to be concerned about any injury issues moving forward. But he was pretty good in that game too. Omarion Smith, there's been plays where he could have done better, but he made the really critical play. He broke up that pass on Boston College's 2-point conversion in the second overtime. I mean, if he doesn't make that play, Michigan State is only going for the tie on that play to Omari Kelly. That play doesn't go down in the lore of this whole season. Next thing, going back to Youngstown State though. We were talking about Prairie View A&M. Metrics didn't like him at all. The metrics really do like Youngstown State. On ESPN's SP Plus little metric that they have there, they're 8th in the entire FCS in terms of just overall power rating. So they're not a pushover. They're actually rated higher than Central Michigan is for size. They actually, I think Bill Connolly of ESPN ranks every single team, regardless of level, posted on Twitter every week. It's a really giant spreadsheet, but it's a kind of, if you take the time to go read it, it's actually pretty intriguing. I'm 95% certain that Youngstown State's a couple of ticks higher than Central Michigan, the team. That's who Michigan's playing this week. So, again, you kind of always see that FCS label placed on a team, you just kind of stream right past them on the schedule, which is kind of for good reason. I mean, you don't see FCS teams beat FBS teams for a reason. Michigan State is a better team than Youngstown State. That's kind of as simple as that. But still, this is going to be Youngstown State's Super Bowl. They don't have a bigger game than this. There's no better time to put their program on the map than what's going to come down on Saturday. Michigan State's coming down from an emotional high right now. It's going to be a little bit easy for them mentally. I mean, I'm just purely speculating here. Obviously, they're going to say, we're going to respect our opponent, which they absolutely should be. But it's just kind of tough to come back from a double overtime win in a revenge game and then look at Youngstown State and be completely mentally 100% there, especially when you have USC on the road the very next week. It's just kind of that mental block right there. But again, going back to what MSU needs to do better offensively, I think the main hole that they have is Childs is getting under pressure a little bit too much. The tackle play, particularly in pass pro, has been a little bit concerning. We've seen a couple of holding calls on Stanton Ramil during that game against Boston College. I mean, it wasn't necessarily in pass pro, but Childs got sacked a good couple of times. He got sacked a good couple of times in week 1 as well. Again, this is a guy who can really use his legs as well, so there's been other times where he escaped sacks and then turned it into a big play on the run, but if MSU was less fortunate and Childs was more of a pocket passer, the sack numbers would be way up right now. So I think you're going to want to see some better tackle play moving forward. I think on the run game it's been fine just all around. We've seen some good push, giving Mekhi Frazier and or Brandon Tolis some yards to get before they really get some contact. But again, some of it also is they need to wipe out some of the costly penalties they had. And again, one of the last drives of regulation, Michigan State scored a touchdown when the game was tied. Should have had a 7-point lead, but it got called back due to a holding penalty. It just murdered the drive, basically killed it, and they only took the 3. Boston College got those 3 points back, and that's why the game went into overtime in the first place. So if they can cut those costly plays out, especially in the red zone area, they should be golden. Last thing I want to address is kind of, you haven't seen the tight end play maybe that people thought. Jack Velling, if you've kind of forgotten that he's on the team, I wouldn't blame you that much. He's only got 1 catch for 3 yards. In fairness to Velling, he's been dealing with an injury through fall camp. He's probably not at 100% right now. But still, he was a big-time weapon at Oregon State 2 years ago, and he was one of the top weapons for this team last year. So it's a little bit disconcerting to see the offense really not use him through 2 games, even if he's playing at 70%, 80%. But I will say it's also not that concerning as well, because we've seen Michael Masunas step up, make some nice catches. He had a touchdown in that game yesterday where he really executed that play well. He had to fake like he was blocking a run play and then leak out, and he executed perfectly, fooled the guy responsible for him as well. But again, Jack Velling is supposed to be one of the better tight ends in the conference, in the Big Ten, really in the country, but we haven't seen Childs go to him, or we haven't really seen a whole lot of plays drawn up for him in general. So I don't know how much of it is health, how much of maybe it's him not getting open, or a mix of both. But going forward, I definitely think you're going to want to see Jack Velling play a bit better. But that's all I've got for you now, and Jacob Katzanika will be bringing you more content on Michigan State sports teams daily. Keep on tuning in, and thank you guys for watching.